So let's talk about landing gear. I want to put some landing gear on this because I don't always land on grass. Never know what surface I'm going to be on. So I've got some old GWS stuff from the old days, many years ago. Collected Grand Wing Servos, the company. I used to fly their foamies. And so this is some old landing gear I got off of one of those, and here's the plastic insert that would go inside the foam and glue in place so that this has a little more structure support. So what I plan on doing is mounting this guy about right here, and I'm going to put it right on one of these, the area where one of these glue points is, so it has a lot more support in the foam. So when I get it all put together, I'm going to mark where this goes, cut a slot, Gorilla Glue that in place, and then I'll be able to put this removable landing gear in place pretty easily. So, elevator. This guy is pretty soft, and I'm sure it's probably fine as is, but I'm opting to put some carbon fiber strip through it to stiffen it up a little bit. So I'll be cutting a slot on the underside of the elevator main piece, like right around through here, and then Gorilla Gluing a piece of carbon fiber tubing inlaid into that groove, just to make this baby a little more rigid, because it's a little bit too flexy for me. So before I glue the fuselage halves together, as I said, I was gonna make this more of a storage area, so I already cut these sections out, and then I marked a door area that's right behind this section here, and I cut into the fuselage, and I did quite a bit of an angle like that, so it was more of a beveled angle instead of going straight in. That way when the door closes, it doesn't try to go through into the fuselage area. So that's going to be my door. For my fuselage access door, I decided to do something a little more sophisticated than just a tape hinge. I'm going to use this little plastic hinge here, and I've cut slots in the fuselage like so, and a slot in the door piece, and then I beveled the front edge of the door and the fuselage a little bit right here so that it can hinge open without binding. And I'm just going to glue that guy in place. Okay, well, I'm gluing the fuselage together, and I'm using this Gorilla Glue. This stuff, I'm telling you, this stuff's the bomb. It's not fast, but it's good stuff. And I'm trying something new. This is a dries white version. It's basically polyurethane glue, and it reacts faster with water. So you put the glue on one side, and I have these little tiny brushes, so I can really smooth out the glue and get a nice consistent layer. Something I got from my wife. I don't remember what it was from, but I got a million of them. And put a layer, really thin layer on one side of the fuselage, and then I've got this little bottle, which is a mister bottle, mists water, and then on the other half of the fuselage, just a very slight mist. This stuff is like, you know, that kind of mist. Put a very light mist of water on the other side of the fuselage, sandwich them together, then I damp dry it down really quick if there's any water anywhere so that the blue tape will stick. The other thing that's the total bomb is the blue tape, of course, because it holds really good but doesn't get stuck on your foam. But then you work it all together really good, wiggle it around, make sure it's got glue everywhere on all the joints and stuff, and then just start taping the crap out of it. Alright, so for my motor setup, decided to, for a first try, use one of these Hobby King 28, 26, 1200 kV motors. I've got it fitted with a 9.6 prop right now. I'm going to try that setup. Theoretically, I think it's going to give me plenty of thrust for this setup, but I'm going to use the stock motor mount in the foam, but rather than buying that metal extension that I've seen that lets me offset the motor, because with the bigger prop obviously I'm going to have to offset the motor mount, I'm going to opt with making a custom ply offset piece that mounts to the stock motor mount. I got my motor mount just about done, and got this cut out ready to mount this baby. And so it goes in here like that. Like so. Then I'm gonna drill some holes and bolt that into the existing motor mount, and then mount this baby right here, run the wires down through there. Okay, servos for the tail. I've got some old high-tech HS55s here that I have extended the wiring on, so rather than using extensions, I'd get some old ribbon cable and peel off three strips of wire and just heat shrink and extend the connector. And I did opt for removing the push rods off the sides of the model, and I am going to mount the servos in the tail piece. Already got the tail glued on, and now I'm working on putting the rear servos in. So on the rudder, I'm gonna mount it angled slightly up towards the rudder horn. So I marked the servo size on the fuselage and then cut this section out like so. Into the hollow body of the fuselage there. And then the servo wire is going to run down the fuselage. Like so. And then I will just hot glue the servo right there. And then we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Wing servos. Well, the design of this wing, I think, was more of a permanent installation. If you ever have a problem with the servo, taking it out is going to be a little bit of a problem because the channel here for the wiring doesn't have enough room to pull a connector through. So unless you cut the wires and re-splice the wires, it's going to be really hard to remove servos. So I want the wing to be as stiff as possible and hold the carbon fiber rod in. So first of all, I had to extend the aileron servo, so I used an extension and I had to cut a notch out in the mating piece so that it would fit. And what I'm planning on doing is not gluing this edge when I put this piece in. I'll glue it up here, but not glue this edge all the way down along the wiring channel. So if I ever do have to replace a servo, I can X-Acto blade right down into this slot and pull this little sliver of foam out along the edge here, so I can pull the wires out. Then I can just put that piece of foam back in. So I am going to just glue very carefully on either side of the carbon fiber tube. I'm going to put a bead here and a bead along here to seal it in. And I'm also going to put some Vaseline on the carbon fiber rod just in case any of my urethane glue foams over and gets to the carbon fiber rod so it doesn't stick. Then after I get it all glued up, I'm going to flip the wing over and put it on a flat surface and weight it down. That way I'll make sure it sets up flat. Okay, here's the completed model with the GoPro temporarily mounted. I'm going to do a better mount than this. Right now this is just a maiden flight. Actually, it's the second maiden flight. The first one I didn't get any video because I didn't have a photographer, and the GoPro came off when the motor mount broke. So you can see now I've got a metal motor mount. So my wood one snapped under pressure before it even barely got off the ground. So now I've got a aluminum plate that I milled out to mount the motor. And in this version, I actually mounted it about a ½ inch higher than the other one. So now you can see I've got lots of clearance down here, and I can actually go to a 10-inch prop if I want to. But this is the completed version. And just to finish off a couple of things that I never got back to, the wing mount, remember I was using the carbon fiber rod through the wings and into the bottom discs, and then I mounted these pieces of wood, and then these carbon fiber rods are pressed really tightly down through into the discs in the bottom through the wings, so it makes a really super solid connection. So let's go give it a shot and see how it does.